Tinkerbell the Remix. Once in a city not too far away, lived a tiny girl named Raina. At 22 years old, Raina stood at 4 feet 2. She was used to being looked at as a child, and always needed to show ID for proof of her age. Though Raina herself was a bartender, she was great at her job too, but her work ethic could have came from either parent. Raina's childhood had been grim, as she grew up in foster care. By 18, Raina had aged out, so she moved in with her boyfriend and his family. It seemed to be her only option. The bar that Raina worked at was owned by her boyfriend's parents. Dakota, a tall, slender young man with a scruffy goat, who always wore his cowboy boots religiously, was an only child. His parents' bar business did fairly well, being it was located in the center of a well-traveled city. Dakota's mom, though in her late 40s, had always been the talk of the bar. She had giant D-cup implants, always dressed in skimpy clothing with high heels, and thrived on the attention she received nightly, especially by her regulars. Dakota's father always just looked the other way. He was proud of his wife's promiscuity. Raina, on the other hand, was short and tiny, with long, blonde hair that reached to her waist. When she didn't have it up in a bun, soon Raina became the star of the Old Town Bar. This made Dakota's mom, Tammy, quite envious. The attention that Raina received was just as much as Tammy used to receive in her younger years. Though there were other female employees at the Old Town Bar and Grill, Raina truly stood out from the rest. Not only was she beautiful on the outside, but she also had a kind, sweet, humble, and personable personality that seemed to draw people to her. And her smile could stand against any other. Tammy, however, thought of herself as the queen of the land, and her son Dakova, the prince of the land. Even though Raina worked full-time for the Old Town Bar and Grill, she also worked full-time at home. She was Tammy's personal servant, secretary, and cook, or so Tammy treated her. There truly was no rest for the young girl. Additionally, Tammy was adamant on finding her son Dakota a more suitable girlfriend than Raina, who she saw as low class. Dakota loved Raina though, and wouldn't trade her for the world. As the four of them sat at a restaurant table, Raina across from Katie, and Manny across from Dakota, the strangest thing occurred. Dakota and Katie were reflecting on childhood memories as Raina found herself laughing with Manny, and completely soaking up his charm. Though nobody wanted the night to end, it wasn't for the reasons in which they came in the first place. Secretly, Manny continued to pine over Raina, standing at Forju with her long blonde hair. Just as Raina was beginning to feel a slight crush on the tall, handsome, well-dressed Manny, for the first time. Also, as much as they felt bad about it, Dakota and Katie were beginning to secretly fall for each other, too. The problem was Raina was not going to let Dakota's mom, Tammy, win. So, she ignored her growing feelings for Manny, and instead, became extra attentive to Dakota, especially when Katie and Tammy were around. Dakota was fighting his growing feelings for Katie, as well. He planned to propose to Raina before he could possibly change his mind. He felt terrible for liking Katie in that way, as Raina had been all over Dakota ever since their double date. Dakota felt he owed it to Raina, since she had always been there for him and his family in recent years, to take the next step. With reluctance, and to his mother's dismay, Dakota surprised Raina one night as she worked at the bar. He proposed to her right then and there. Raina said yes, without hesitation. Then they hugged and kissed. Everyone in the Old Town Bar and Grill began clapping, all except for Tammy, Manny, and Katie. Both Manny and Katie felt that their feelings for Raina and Dakota had been mutual, until that moment. In that moment, they both decided to give up hope. Instead, they went to another bar together, took shots while confessing their feelings toward Raina and Dakota, then went home together. In the morning, both were so ashamed at themselves that they couldn't even look one another in the eye. Raina quickly got dressed and left, trying to wash away his guilt and broken heart. Meanwhile, Raina and Dakota were in their own shower together. Dakota, Raina began. Yes, Dakota replied, anxiously. How do you know that I'm the one for you? Dakota took a few seconds to think, before responding. Because you love me. Raina was astonished at his answer. It wasn't because of his love for her, or any reasons involving Raina, at all. Instead, it was because of how much he thought she loved him. To make it even worse, Dakota didn't even bother to ask her the question and returned. After that, Raina knew for certain that her and Dakota weren't right for each other. But she also didn't want Katie to have him, or for Tammy to think she won. As the months progressed, Dakota and Raina continued to act as the perfect couple in public. Behind the scenes, though, they couldn't be further apart. They both couldn't wait to get to work the next day to see Katie and Manny. After their night together, Katie and Manny barely even spoke. They knew there was nothing between them. Reluctantly, Tammy continued preparing for her son's wedding. In front of the customers, she acted happy for them. In reality, Tammy was always glaring at Raina. She despised the fact that her son was going to marry Raina, and not Katie, whom Tammy handpicked for her son. Surprisingly though, Katie and Raina became close friends. Katie loved Raina and hated herself for crushing on Dakota so hard. Yet, every little chance they got, Dakota and Katie were subtlety flirting. Tammy saw this, and it gave her hope. Yet, neither Dakota nor Katie would ever betray Raina. Raina was likewise very protective over Dakota, even if she knew they weren't right for each other. One day, about 3 weeks before the wedding, Raina had been reaching for some bar towels up high. She was using a stool since she was so short, when suddenly she slipped, her long blonde hair flying through the air around her. But before she hit the ground, someone caught her. Someone with muscular arms that held her just right. Peeking through her hair, Raina saw that it was Manny. As he stood holding Raina in the storage room where no one could see them, Manny moved in slowly, intending to kiss Raina. Just then, Dakota came into the storage room, so Raina slapped Manny. Manny instantly put Raina down, as Dakota stood looking puzzled. It wasn't what it looked like, Manny stuttered. Raina said nothing but wore a worried expression on her face. I know, Dakota replied. I'm not blind. The stool is tipped over. Raina is clumsy and refuses to ask for help. Dakota laughed, to their relief. Yes, I'm sorry, and thank you for catching me, Manny, Raina stated. Though Dakota pretended to have seen nothing, he had actually seen it all. The fall, Manny catching Raina in his arms, Manny moving in for a kiss. Raina not resisting until she realized Dakota was there, at which point she slapped Manny. He saw it all. Yet, he decided to keep it to himself. After all, they were getting married in 3 weeks. How could he call it off over such a small event? Even if he did like Katie more and more every day, he had to do what's right for Raina. He couldn't imagine breaking Raina's heart after all she had been through in her short lifespan. He owed it to her to be a hero and save Raina from any more struggles in life. Then came the wedding day. As Katie helped her now best friend Rain into her wedding dress, she couldn't help but wish it was her getting ready to marry Dakota. By then, Tammy had come to accept Raina, though she was secretly hoping for a disaster. Anything to stop her son from marrying Raina. Reluctantly, Tammy helped Raina with her hair. Looking into the mirror behind Raina, knowing she didn't have parents, Tammy mustered up a short, yet sweet statement. You do make for a beautiful bride, Tammy said, swallowing a lump in her throat. A tear fell from Raina's eye. Even if it was all she was going to get from a mother figure, it was enough for her.
After Tammy walked out, Serena, Manny's mother, entered the room and began helping Raina fix her makeup. She was so different from Tammy in that she had such a gentle, motherly touch.
It was then that Raina realized, sitting in her wedding dress, looking tiny as she was, with her long blonde Tinkerbell hair falling to her waist, that this couldn't go on. After Serena left the room, when it was just Raina and Katie, they began to speak genuinely from the heart. Raina admitted her feelings for Manny, and Katie admitted hers for Dakota. They hugged, then Katie helped Raina get back out of her wedding dress. When Tammy came back, she looked confused, yet intrigued. "Tammy, I was so hungry for a family that I instantly drew to you and Dakota. I thought that the way you loved Dakota, you could come to love me the same. But I understand now that isn't the ingredients for love. I deeply care for Dakota. I will always be protective over him. But you were right, Tammy. Katie is the perfect girl for Dakota." Tammy's mouth dropped open as she looked from Raina to Katie, who nodded. After that, Tammy went to get both Dakota and Manny. It was the only motherly thing Tammy had done for Raina, by intuitively bringing Manny as well. Everyone relinquished their feelings and vowed to always be open books from that day forward. A year later, a double wedding took place at the Old Town Bar and Grill. Raina, with Serena on her arm, walked down in a beautiful gown toward her groom, Manny. Beside them, Katie walked down with her father in a beautiful gown toward her groom, Dakota. Tammy sat in the front row, smiling ear to ear over Dakota and Katie. She even smiled at Raina. Deep down, Raina thanked Tammy for knowing what was best. Even if she wasn't the greatest mother toward Raina, she was a mother. As Dakota and Katie kissed next to Raina and Manny kissing, the two brides blew kisses toward each other. Then, Dakota winked at Raina as she winked back. It was a mutual respect that they would be friends forever. The couple skipped down the aisle together as newlyweds. Everyone lived happily ever after.